Now at 9, what a new housing development in Frontenac, Kansas means for the city's future. Plus how recent developments have helped grow the economy of Crawford County. And we'll have tips to stay safe during the intense heat while you're out on the water.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Anthony Saviello. Frontenac, Kansas is expanding and creating new housing. Frontenac City Council approved the annexation of about 500 acres of land north of town, east of Highway 69, more than 400 of which will be used for the construction of a housing development. The development is projected to create 150 to 180 new homes. The land will be developed in 5 phases spanning more than 10 years. The mayor of Frontenac says the project has been in the works for the past 3 years, but it couldn't have come at a better time.
Frontenac has kind of been a hidden jewel for a while, ready to explode and grow, and I think this is the first step in helping it do that. It's a sought-after community, but the housing has been very, very slow in coming. So I really think that it will bring very good quality people to town.
Officials say construction is expected to start around the end of this year. The development will be located next to the site of the future Freeman Hospital. When officials announced the location of the future Freeman Hospital in Frontenac, they also announced the hospital would bring between 500 to 1,000 new jobs in the area. This has community members excited about the area's future.
So it's going to be good for the whole community, for all the surrounded areas.
For businesses in Frontenac, like the Farmhouse Cafe, the announcement of the new Freeman Hospital was welcome news.
It's a big thing happening in small town, which is a very good idea. It's good for the community, for the customers, for everybody too, you know. So, but we got Pittsburgh next door, which makes the town bigger.
For Crawford County officials, they hope the development of the hospital and the possibility of upwards of 1,000 new jobs will help boost the local economy.
Everything that comes along with, you know, a hospital that size, that capacity. So I meant it's going to increase, you know, water usage, sewer usage. You know, I'm sure down the road there'll be some tax benefits for the city of Frontenac, and you know, I don't know what else to say other than we're so fortunate that it came in, and we look forward to seeing what happens in the next few years.
For businesses along the US 69 highway, they say they look forward to the potential new visitors they'll see as a result of the hospital.
It'll be good. You know, it'll be more traffic towards Highway 69 going towards the hospital, and it'll be more traffic, more people. There'll be probably more customers.
And while the future hospital site may look like just an empty field behind me, officials say it's the community's opportunity to grow.
It's not just any one certain facet. It's, you know, it's a multiple of things that, you know, businesses will benefit. You know, the food business, the people coming to town, the gas stations. I meant everyone should, you know, feel fortunate at this time that this is coming.
Reporting in Crawford County, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Officials don't have an official date for final completion for the future hospital just yet. We'll check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy for a first look at weather.
Well, definitely turned out to be a hot Friday for us today. Again, temperatures back up into lower 90s, but still pretty close to where we should be for this time of the year. 91 was our high. Average high is 91.12 is the record set back in 1954. Now, we do have heat advisories this weekend, but mainly our western counties. So the counties that are in orange, you're going to have heat indices 105 to about 110. Everybody else 100 to about 105 degrees. But we look pretty good. Not a whole bunch going on. Look at the heavy amounts of rain that we got during the morning hours. So there were spots like right here just southwest of Carl Junction that picked up 7 inches of rain. So that's why we had some flash flooding across the region as we worked through the morning hours. Tonight, pretty quiet. 76 by 7 a.m. We could get a few scattered thunderstorms tomorrow morning. We're going to be talking more about that here in just a bit.
Thanks, Doug. Floating at the river is a common way to spend hot summer days, but there can be some heat safety risks. KOAM's Melissa Alexis has that story.
take more life jackets if you need more.
With temperatures being high, people are looking to cool down by spending the day by the water. Dylan, who works at River Ranch Resort in Knoll, Missouri, has seen firsthand how unsafe it can be on the water due to the heat.
It's just uncomfortable just to be in the shade as well too. And at that point is when we start sending people home and then come back later in the day.
He even adjusts his work schedule to avoid dangerous temperatures.
When it starts getting hot, we'll start before daylight sometimes when it's cooler so we can not work in the hottest part of the day.
Ellsworth Amos III, Pineville's 911 director, says that he's responded to countless water emergencies, and he notices that drowning risk tends to go up with intense heat.
Normally we're probably just a good swimmer, and whenever the heat and being exhausted takes that extra strength away from you, you just became one of the bad swimmers.
He says that some water floating risks can sneak up on people.
Whenever you're out there on the water, the sun is actually reflecting off the water itself, which can give you the sunburn. And also on a cloudy day, a lot of people don't realize that they actually need to have sunscreen on.
Joshua Humphreys is excited to kick off his weekend on the river. He says he has hydration and sunscreen at the top of his mind.
So there's several of us that we don't get out in the sun a whole lot, and so we can burn really quickly, and that can make for a really miserable weekend.
As a 911 director, Amos reminds people to check in with their group about how they feel while they're on the water, and says that your life jacket is your lifeline. In McDonald County, Melissa Alexis, KOAM News.
Amos says some signs of heat exhaustion to be aware of are rapid pulse, muscle cramps, and confusion. A historic landmark in southwest Missouri gets a generous donation today. The Arvest Foundation donated $10,000 to Carver Birthplace Association funds to support interior restoration of the 1972 Neosho Colored School. The school was listed for its association with George Washington Carver, the important role the school played in African American education in Neosho, and its significance in African American ethnic heritage.
It's one of 5 remaining schoolhouses in the entire United States in its original historic state. That's really important, and that's significant in educating individuals into the future. And history, I mean, that's part of everybody's past.
The grant will help the CBA complete the interior restoration of the schoolhouse in its mission to turn it into a museum. United Way today held its National Day of Action. It's a chance for communities to come together and help those in need. That includes help with projects such as lawn care, pest control, and cleaning. Several KOAM staff members took part in helping out at the Wesley House in Pittsburgh and the Pittsburgh Community Resource Center. It's Christmas in July at the James C. Chrisman Performing Arts Center in Galena. The Cherokee County Arts Association hosted a showing of the classic film White Christmas. You could either get in by buying a ticket or donating a toy to the Cherokee County distributor of KOAM's Toy Box campaign. Coming up, doctors see a higher demand for weight loss drugs for children. We'll tell you what you need to know on the potential risks and benefits. While the popularity of weight loss drugs continues to skyrocket among adults, some doctors are seeing a high demand for these medications for children as well. Mandy Gaither talks to a doctor about what parents need to know on the potential risks and benefits of children and teens using weight loss drugs.
It's a major health crisis in the U.S. Studies show the number of children with obesity has tripled over the past 4 decades. And with more adults turning to weight loss drugs, some medical providers are seeing the same in pediatric patients.
The demand is high.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved 4 weight management medications for use in children 12 and older. Recent studies have shown weight loss drugs and surgical procedures are highly successful treatments for children, and they're deemed viable options under guidelines from the American Academy of Pediatrics. But there are risks, too, says Dr. Shasta Safter with Orlando Health Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children.
I do not want any parent who is considering these type of medications for their children to think it's just a magic, pill or magic drug.
Safter says long-term data on the effects of these drugs in children is still being gathered. She says the research we have now shows these medications are safe options, but should only be considered after other methods of treatment have been exhausted. That includes making sure the child stays physically active and modifying their diet, consistently cutting back on processed foods and limiting fast food.
This is not only on the shoulders of a child to make these dietary choices, it's what choices the parents are providing to the child.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
When a child has obesity, it raises the risk of major health issues into adulthood, including type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, liver disease, and other issues like anxiety and low self-esteem. People recently diagnosed with diabetes who have sleep issues are more likely to have damaged blood vessels. Researchers in Denmark found diabetics who got less than 7 hours of sleep or more than 9 hours of sleep were both at risk. Damage to small blood vessels are major contributors to complications linked to type 2 diabetes. British researchers say AI can help drastically speed up heart scans. They used an intelligent computer model to examine MRI scans of the heart. Data shows it analyzed the scans in just seconds, while it typically takes doctors 45 minutes. The study's authors say this could save doctors time and lead to better treatment. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later, a Joplin outlaw is going pro. We'll tell you where first baseman Carter Mize is headed.
Well, of course, a hot, humid day for us today. Plus, we had scattered showers and thunderstorms during the morning hours. Some areas picked up some very heavy amounts of rain, especially on the west side of the metro. Officially at the airport, about 1.5 inches of rain, which is pretty good for the middle of July. 3.5 inches for the month. Still deficit, but all of our rain through the spring and into the summer is kind of come in clumps. So drought-wise, we're doing okay. We're a little bit on the dry side. All right, humidity levels have been going up just a little bit. So our dew points are sitting upper 60s to near 70 degrees. And if you look at our dew point tracker, that puts us kind of in that sticky to muggy range. And that's what we're going to see, mainly that muggy range as we go through the weekend, but not too much going on outside. We have pretty much clear skies. Now, we do have a big dome of high pressure building out across the western third of the country. As this builds in, we are going to stay mainly dry, and we're also going to heat up as we go through the next few days. Let me walk you through time. As we go through the overnight hours tonight, I'm going to stop tomorrow morning. Most of us are sitting mid to upper 70s. Now, through the morning hours north of I-44, we're going to get some scattered thunderstorms popping up again. Some heavy amounts of rain, especially Fort Scott to Nevada, mainly north of Joplin. So here's late morning, fizzle apart during the afternoon, and then it looks pretty good. High temps are going to be up there, mid-90s, pressing 100 once you get out into our western counties. Tomorrow night, clear, just warm temperatures down into the mid-70s. Then as we go into Sunday, maybe a notch or two hotter, mid to upper 90s, southwestern Missouri, and then upper 90s to near 100 once you get out across Oklahoma and also parts of Kansas. So it is going to be a very hot, very humid weekend. 96 tomorrow, there's hit and miss storms early. 98 on Sunday, plus our heat indices for most of us are going to be in that 100 to 105 range as we go through the next few days. So let's look at it. We'll stop this tomorrow afternoon. Heat indices near 100 through the metro, a little bit higher once you get into our western counties. Then on Sunday, we do it again. Very hot, very humid, heat indices about 100 to about 105 degrees. Now, we do have a little bit of a breeze, kind of like what we saw today, so not bad. Winds gusting 15 to 20, a little bit higher once you get into our western counties, and still a little bit breezy out there as we go into Sunday as well. Now, as we go down the road, gets a little hotter on Monday and then into Tuesday, but then we get a cold front. This slips in late Tuesday, giving us chances for showers and thunderstorms, but also behind the front, we're actually going to cool down just a bit, which is going to be pretty nice. All right, 96 on your Saturday, 98 on Sunday. Triple-digit heat Monday and Tuesday. But check this out. Highs only into the 80s next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
All right, Doug, thanks. Coming up, a growing scam trend.
A warning for potential home buyers and sellers. Real estate is quickly becoming one of the most lucrative and easy targets for fraudsters. I'm Rebecca Castor in Washington with what you need to look out for coming up.
Nearly all AT&T cell phone customers have been impacted by a massive breach. The telecom company says the compromised data includes tens of millions of customers' phone numbers between May 1st and October 31st, 2022. The customer's personal information and the contents of their calls or texts were not exposed. Purchasing a home is an exciting milestone for many, but a record number of home buyers are falling victim to fraudsters. Fox's correspondent Rebecca Castor has more on this alarming trend and what to look out for.
Today, Carly Coulter is all smiles in front of her new home, but buying it almost became a nightmare for her parents.
We didn't know if we were going to be big losers or if we were going to come out okay. She is on the autism spectrum. We needed to have something that was small, affordable for us, and have her be able to walk to work.
The perfect home nearly slipped through the Coulter family's fingers after Stu received emails he thought were from his mortgage lender and lawyer regarding the payment plan for closing. But really, the emails were from fraudsters, jumping in at the last minute to divert $50,000 to a bogus bank account.
The biggest fear was, how am I going to scrape together another payment to secure the home?
Real estate just happens to be like right at the bullseye of large monies moving, a lot of people communicating electronically, and all the information that you need for the fraud is easy to find publicly on the internet.
That's why real estate has become a lucrative target for scammers, with 1 in 20 home buyers or sellers falling victim to fraud last year, and average losses exceeding $70,000.
Every minute that goes by gives a fraudster a higher likelihood to move that money into another account or to potentially get it offshore. And once it gets offshore, it's nearly impossible to recover.
Certify ID, a wire fraud protection service, was able to help recover Stu's stolen money. But he wants other home buyers to be aware that scammers are closely watching.
I'm getting a little choked up right now because, I think the lesson I learned from it is don't rush things.
There's currently no federal law that protects consumers from scams like this. But at a hearing with the Senate Banking Committee earlier this year, reps from consumer groups and financial institutions warned lawmakers the issue is getting worse. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
The IRS is cracking down on wealthy tax cheats. Last fall, the service launched an initiative to collect from millionaires who have not paid the taxes they owe. The agency identified about 1,600 taxpayers with more than $1 million in income who have more than $250,000 in tax debt. To date, more than $1 billion has been recovered from those individuals. Up next, it's time for another Food Truck Friday in Carthage. We'll see why this week has focused on the kids. Food Truck Friday rolled back into Central Park in Carthage today with Kids Fest, along with the usual complement of food trucks, both crowd favorites and new arrivals. Visitors could also dig into some homemade ice cream and shaved ice.
Food Truck Friday is an amazing success, and it's just a great time for folks in the community and locals alike to come and just hang out, eat good food, see live entertainment. It's just a great addition to Carthage.
Food Truck Friday takes place the second Friday of each month, April through September. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Folks will be flocking to Grand Lake this weekend. We'll have a preview of the Wolf Creek Drag Boat Nationals. Plus, President Biden looks to capitalize on last night's news conference to regain support from Democrats.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Anthony Saviello. High-speed watercraft will catch the wake this weekend at Grand Lake, where the Wolf Creek Drag Boat Nationals will take place. Record-breaking speeds and intricate engineering will be on display for the public. KOAM intern Mitch Adams has the story.
These things are as bad as heroin. Once you see them, that's it, you're hooked.
Competitive boat racers from all over the nation will test their watercraft in the Wolf Creek Drag Boat Nationals at Grand Lake. These mean machines will make more horsepower than a supercar, and Grand Lake is the place where world records are set. Brent Malone, the executive director of Convention and Tourism, explained why Grand Lake is the perfect place to hold this event.
When there's a race like this, Wolf Creek Park is set up for fishing, but we've seen this in the last 6 or 7 years. This is set up perfect for drag racing. I mean, it's protected. The water's always good here. It's great. It's not deep, so if something does happen, something goes bad, we can get them rescued quick.
Contenders arrived from coast to coast, from California to South Carolina, ready to try their hand at victory racing other fully custom-built boats. The MC of the event, Roger Monroe, has over 40 years of experience as a drag race announcer. The familial feelings that come with these competitions is enough to keep him going.
Boat racing, it's a family. I've seen these guys, this pro outlaw, maybe another pro outlaw, going to the final, the one blow the motor, did not have a motor to race. These guys will give up their spare motors to their competitors to race them in the final and possibly beat them. You won't see that in cars.
Although speed is king at this contest, the main goal is to have fun and show off just how much power one vessel can make. Reporting from Grove, Oklahoma, I'm Mitch Adams, KOAM News.
To find more information about the Wolf Creek Drag Boat Nationals, you can visit our website. Of course, that's KOAMnewsnow.com. Fair season in the 4 states rolls on with the Newton County Fair in Neosho, Missouri. Exhibitors today showed off beef cattle as well as different types of goats. There was also horse showmanship and hunt seat classes. For one exhibitor, the fair is all about the fun.
I think everyone should get out and meet new people. That's really what makes showing so fun. You get to know so many new people, you make new memories, and then you can see those friends all year long. If you're in FFA, you might see them at different contests.
The fair wraps up on Saturday with showmanship awards, a watermelon feed, and live music. After a high-stakes NATO news conference, President Biden is still facing questions about his campaign. In his latest setback, there are reports major donors could be withholding funds. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has the details.
Unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win. Me. No one's saying that. No poll says that.
Taking questions after a NATO summit in Washington, President Biden says he still sees a way forward for his campaign. But as the president returns to the trail, the list of detractors grows. Lawmakers in the double digits have now said he should let someone else take the top of the ticket. And the New York Times reports that a major pro-Biden super PAC is putting $90 million in donations on hold as long as he stays.
He really needs like a royal flush to win this race.
Democrats have been holding high-stakes meetings all week. President Biden met privately with House Speaker Hakeem Jeffries Thursday night and held a call with the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. Over the weekend, the president will meet with the New Dems, a group of about 100 moderate-leaning House Democrats, including some who have called for him to leave the race. Some of Biden's supporters are still doing their best to make their case for the campaign to move forward as is.
I'm riding with Biden no matter what direction he goes, no matter what method he takes. I'm with Joe Biden.
President Biden is in Michigan campaigning, and Vice President Harris will give a speech in Philadelphia this weekend. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
Republicans are staying out of the way until they kick off their convention on Monday in Milwaukee. The only X factor at this point for Republicans is who Trump will choose as his running mate. The top contenders for the pick are North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum and Senators J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. A bit later, we'll check out a class in Wyandotte, Oklahoma, teaching people about animal crimes investigations.
Well, of course, a hot, humid day for us today. Plus, we had scattered showers and thunderstorms during the morning hours. Some areas picked up some very heavy amounts of rain, especially on the west side of the metro. Officially at the airport, about 1.5 inches of rain, which is pretty good for the middle of July. 3.5 inches for the month. Still deficit, but all of our rain through the spring and into the summer has kind of come in clumps. So drought-wise, we're doing okay. We're a little bit on the dry side. All right, humidity levels have been going up just a little bit. So our dew points are sitting upper 60s to near 70 degrees. And if you look at our dew point tracker, that puts us kind of in that sticky to muggy range. And that's what we're going to see, mainly that muggy range as we go through the weekend. But not too much going on outside. We have pretty much clear skies. Now, we do have a big dome of high pressure building out across the western third of the country. As this builds in, we are going to stay mainly dry, and we're also going to heat up as we go through the next few days. Let me walk you through time. As we go through the overnight hours tonight, I'm going to stop tomorrow morning. Most of us are sitting mid to upper 70s. Now, through the morning hours north of I-44, we're going to get some scattered thunderstorms popping up again. Some heavy amounts of rain, especially Fort Scott to Nevada, mainly north of Joplin. So here's late morning, fizzle apart during the afternoon, and then it looks pretty good. High temps are going to be up there, mid-90s, pressing 100 once you get out into our western counties. Tomorrow night, clear, just warm, temperatures down into the mid-70s. Then as we go into Sunday, maybe a notch or two hotter, mid to upper 90s, southwestern Missouri, and then upper 90s to near 100 once you get out across Oklahoma and also parts of Kansas. So it is going to be a very hot, very humid weekend. 96 tomorrow, there's hit and miss storms early. 98 on Sunday, plus our heat indices for most of us are going to be in that 100 to 105 range as we go through the next few days. So let's look at it. We'll stop this tomorrow afternoon. Heat indices near 100 through the metro, a little bit higher once you get into our western counties. Then on Sunday, we do it again. Very hot, very humid, heat indices about 100 to about 105 degrees. Now, we do have a little bit of a breeze, kind of like what we saw today, so not bad. Winds gusting 15 to 20, a little bit higher once you get into our western counties, and still a little bit breezy out there as we go into Sunday as well. Now, as we go down the road, gets a little hotter on Monday and then into Tuesday, but then we get a cold front. This slips in late Tuesday, giving us chances for showers and thunderstorms, but also behind the front, we're actually going to cool down just a bit, which is going to be pretty nice. All right, 96 on your Saturday, 98 on Sunday, triple-digit heat Monday and Tuesday, but check this out, highs only into the 80s next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
All right, Doug, thanks. Coming up in sports, a Joplin Outlaw signs a professional baseball contract. Plus, 500 swimmers compete at Joplin's Schiffer-Decker Aquatic Center. Brock Baldridge has that story and more.
The Joplin Outlaws continue their first season as a member of the Mid-America League, and one of those intents is joining this league is to get more players in front of professional baseball scouts. The Outlaws announced that their starting first baseman Carter Mize has signed a professional contract to play in the Pioneer League with the Rocky Mountain Vibes. Mize leads the Outlaws with 5 home runs this season. He supported a .263 batting average and drove in 25 RBIs in his 23 games he's played with Joplin this season. So the Outlaws are back on the road again. Joplin looks to break the losing skid tonight as they face the Fort Smith Marshals. Joplin got out to an 8-0 lead in this game. Local kid Brett Sarwinski has homered in that one. At last check, Joplin leads Fort Smith 11-6 in the 8th inning. This weekend at Schiffer-Decker Aquatic Center, hundreds of swimmers across the 4 states and beyond flocked to Joplin to compete at the Ragnarok Swim Meet. It was quite the showing today as 500 swimmers took the water for the annual Berserker Swim Meet, and not just for the experienced. Competitors range from ages 7 years old all the way up to high school students. Berserker Swimming is hosting the event, which started today and wraps up on Sunday afternoon. The top dogs qualify for the Long Course Championship meet.
Yeah, so we have almost 500 swimmers out here this weekend. Some of our younger kiddos, this is their first long course meet they've ever swam. This is Olympic length. So that's a huge accomplishment for a lot of our kids. We have a lot of our teams who are coming from Kansas City, who are coming from St. Louis, who are coming from Arkansas. And so they're staying in hotels and they're eating in the restaurants and enjoying what Joplin has to offer. And we think it's really great that these teams from these big cities want to come swim here in Joplin.
And the Kansas City Royals playing one more series before the MLB All-Star break. Kansas City looks to build on their 3-game winning streak. Royals and Red Sox square off tonight. Kansas City continues with their 8-game road trip before the All-Star break. The Bats get hot in Boston as Kansas City wins the game 6-1. Bobby Witt Jr. and MJ Melendez each homered in this game. Both teams back at it tomorrow afternoon. Then the St. Louis Cardinals open up a 4-game series against their rivals from the Windy City. The final time this season that Chicago visits St. Louis in Busch Stadium. So the Cardinals offense has been shut down this one. At last check, it's Chicago who leads St. Louis 5-0 in the 8th inning in that one. Well, that's your look for sports. We're back with more news right after this.
Some local law enforcement agencies are hosting a class informing the public about animal crimes investigations. We sent photojournalist Ty Parks to check it out.
It's a priority for us to help facilitate the enforcement of Oklahoma's animal cruelty laws. And one of the ways to do that is to train the agencies that are charged with enforcing the law. So we have police chiefs, sheriffs, other law enforcement agencies, tribal police that are all interested in this topic. We provide a lot of information about how to process a crime scene if it's an animal crime and how to handle the animals, which may be seized. So there's a lot to know, and so we do a lot of these all over the state.
The rise of animal cruelty has probably doubled since the COVID crisis, as far as people being isolated and not having means to get out to get help for their animals or other situations they're involved in. Yesterday's training was the intersection of domestic violence and animal cruelty. Animal cruelty is directly related with most of your major crimes, coming from animal abuse to child abuse, domestic violence, your drugs, your elderly abuse. Somehow, some way, there's animal cruelty involved in that picture. The animal cruelty investigations is get the word and the initial training out to law enforcement, social workers, animal cruelty officers for the cities and the counties, also your SROs and stuff like that, to see the basic warning signs and to go from there, because in most of your cases, if there's some kind of animal cruelty going on, 90% of the time, there's some kind of other things going on the reporting of things, because people were isolated, nobody was moving out. So the children, animals, anything else was not outside or off that property. So nobody saw what was going on. And since then, it's just kind of been an effect that's been kept going, and we're just still climbing the mountain on it, trying to get it curved.
I think we really want them to understand that Oklahoma has some very good, strong animal protection statutes, that the people of Oklahoma are solidly behind the enforcement of those statutes. We are a state of animal lovers, and we support our law enforcement agencies in enforcing those laws. So we want attendees to go away feeling confident in their knowledge and that they have the support of citizens in enforcing these important laws.
The Ottawa County Sheriff's Office and Wyandotte Nation Tribal Police Department partnered with the Humane Society for the class. Coming up, we'll learn about the 30th anniversary celebration for a classic Disney movie. The tale of Simba on his adventure to be the Lion King was destined to be an instant classic when it was first released in 1994. The movie is now marking a 30th anniversary with a re-release in theaters and an upcoming prequel story. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with more.
The Classic Disney musical The Lion King takes the spotlight in this movie milestone moment, with the Circle of Life story back on the big screen July 12th to celebrate its 30th anniversary.
This'll all be mine?
The original Lion King is still the highest grossing hand-drawn animated film of all time. And this was a huge film when it came out. The original script, it opened with a lot of dialogue, but then when the filmmakers heard the music from Circle of Life, they said, no, we have to use that. And Hakuna Matata was not in the original script. Filmmakers researching, saw that was a phrase that was used in Africa a lot, and so they brought it into the film. So this film had a lot of little things that came together at the right moment in order for it to be as big as it was.
The original voice cast included Matthew Broderick, Jeremy Irons, and James Earl Jones. The film featured songs by Elton John and Tim Rice, including Can You Feel the Love Tonight, which won an Academy Award. Its score by Hans Zimmer also won an Oscar.
Run away, Simba.
Films that followed include a 2019 remake. Plus, there's an upcoming prequel story, Mufasa the Lion King, coming this December.
It's directed by Barry Jenkins, who you know as the Oscar-winning director behind the film Moonlight. This is a prequel. It tells the story of Mufasa, but it's as told by Rafiki to Kiara, who is the daughter of Simba and Nala. Notable there because Kiara is voiced by Beyonce and Jay-Z's daughter, Blue Ivy. This is her feature film debut. Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote some songs for the film as well.
Destiny awaits you.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll leave you with a video of Fritz the hippo trying to crush a papaya at the Cincinnati Zoo. Have a great night from all of us here at KOAM.